Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Life of the Lost. I'm Sam,
And I'm Megan.
and this episode is sponsored by Brown Lab Media. Brown Lab Media is focused on creating and promoting original content, personal brands, business, or anything media related by people of color. So when you have a chance, feel free to check them out, brownlabmedia.com. You want to take it from there a little bit?
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about commitment and commitment issues, and primarily mine. I think starting as young as I can remember, just having like problems committing, and does that correlate with adoption? Is that just me having my own like crazy problems, and like kind of digging into that a little bit?
Yeah, it's interesting because you've been speaking with a lot of other adoptees, and I'd wonder too, like maybe with your own inner thoughts, like maybe have you also connected certain things of aspects of maybe seeing a theme of that, in terms of like commitment or people not sticking to things for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So
I think at first when this idea kind of came to my head, I was a little hesitant to talk about it because I was like, damn, I quit so many things when I was a kid, like as far as sports. Just a side note, talking to you about it, talking about starting with dance. I quit that right away. Like right after I got to my first recital, I was horrified. And I was like, I got up in front of all these people at like 3 years old and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And dance, karate, soccer, lacrosse, hockey, just all of these things, just wanting to quit. Swimming was a really big one for me.
But why did you want to quit?
I just didn't like them anymore. And yeah, for their own reasons. Like I guess swimming was really embarrassing, kind of. So I guess I'll tell a story. I was on a swim team, and they were a little bit older than me. They were all maybe 3 to 5 years older than me, and I was the youngest one, and I loved it. I loved swimming. I loved everything about it. And I was at a meet, and I believe it was Iowa, and it was a meet, right? So it was a swimming meet. There was other pools next to each other, and so we were getting ready to jump in the pool. And what happens at swimming meets is where somebody has a gun, right?
Was it indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Okay.
So somebody has a gun, and they have these like dee 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 ding, and like then they shoot the gun, and somebody shot the gun, and all of us jumped in, and I'm swimming and swimming and swimming, and I realize I'm in the first place, and I'm just like, yeah, like I'm winning, everything's amazing. But then I realized like somebody started chasing after me in my lane, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I turned back, and the person like grabbed me, and they're like, yo, you're disqualified. Like
Wow.
that gun you heard, that wasn't for your race. And I was like, oh.
It was for like a race next to you?
Yeah, and so a few of us thought it was, but obviously like I just kept going and just thought that it was a part of the race. And so it was really embarrassing. And I don't remember, maybe I wasn't disqualified, but I remember we did have to start again. And I was just so embarrassed, and I was just like, I don't know
Your
if I
mind
want
was
to do
out of
this.
it by then.
Kinda. And
Yeah.
then I guess like another weird incident happened where I was like, it was like one of my big first sleepovers, and it was with the swim team, and I was so nervous that I like puked in this girl's hair.
Oh my goodness.
And then in her mom's hands, and then on their stairs, and then I was like, all right, I think that probably like threw me over.
Wow, you must have had to been really nervous in order to get to the puking stage. I don't think I've ever crossed that boundary, which is that's saying something then, huh?
Yeah, I think it's just because I didn't.
Was that
I was just
before or
younger.
after the swim meet?
I bet you it was around the same time, and so it's probably just like
Oh man.
just another sucker punch to the face.
Yeah, I'm probably never gonna talk to you guys again after
No,
that.
seriously, that was it, I think. Yeah,
Huh.
that's probably the last straw. But I think it was just kind of getting myself in uncomfortable positions and then just kind of leaving. And prior to talking to other adoptees, I thought, all right, well, maybe I'm just kind of like weak a little bit in that per se. But some of them were telling me, it might have just been because it's what you knew what you wanted. Like after that moment of maybe weakness or whatever you thought it was, you kind of dipped because you just realized you didn't really want to be there anymore. And
Yeah, I
that
suppose
might not
that's
be a
better
bad-
than you staying even after that. On top of you not wanting to be there, but you're still staying because I don't know, you're just staying,
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Could have, yeah, I suppose that's better. And I guess in all aspects of sports, for me, I just really liked the practicing. I don't know. I didn't mind games, but I loved the practicing. So when we got up to the games, I guess I just got really nervous too.
So could you say that was like the last time that you kind of failed to follow through in the sense of just being committed?
With swimming or with sports in general?
With anything in general per se. Did that theme continue later on? Because how old were you during that time?
I think with sports that kind of ended around, I think the last sport I quit was lacrosse in
Oh,
high
so
school.
okay. So
It just built.
lacrosse was what was that with lacrosse? What was the
Oh, I realized that somebody was better than me.
Ah.
And I was playing first string for a while. And then, you know, a younger class came up and there was girls and they were faster than me, taller than me, better than me. So I just realized I got to a point where I was like...
got phased out.
Yeah, I got phased out. And I wasn't really
all right.
trying to stay for my... I think I stayed like maybe junior and then I left, or senior. I don't remember. But just getting to a point where I'm like, this isn't like... It's not something I want to do anymore. I know I'm not going to go professional. So like, low-key, why am I...
Yeah, why are you
pushing?
sticking through it?
Kind of wasting
it's
your time.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Yeah, I don't know if anybody had played any kind of sports too. A little bit off topic, but I'd be curious to know if anybody stopped sports for whatever reason, whether you kind of realized that, you know, you were never going to go pro and it was never going to really happen, or there was something like, you know, along the lines of an embarrassing moment. Definitely love to hear you guys' stories on that. It'd be awesome to, you know, share. So feel free to comment down below and let us know. Moving forward, what did you think that might have changed in your life compared to the inconsistencies of you not sticking to something, and then has that changed now?
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like I go 100%, like 150% at things where I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. I guess an example recently would be us fishing, right?
Yeah.
It was just kind of like this idea of like, hey, let's go fishing. And then all of a sudden we go fishing and we have such a great time. And we're like, no, let's go all out fishing. And then we get the rods and we start researching, we start watching videos, we start getting like the pliers and the knives and everything. We're just going all in. And we've actually really been sticking with it, which I love, because I'm kind of like, I go all in and then I'm like, you know, you kind of just back out a little bit because you're like, I don't know if I get bored fast or what it is. I just think I need to kind of work on the consistency of things.
Yeah, it's weird too. You know, definitely like for one, I think from the youngest age, I don't know if you guys have been following my story in previous podcasts, music has been really in my life a lot. And I started loving music when I was like 13, and that love has never really died down. So in terms of commitment, I've always really, you know, kept on that music theme, even up until high school, not wanting to hang out with my friends, not wanting to go to parties, because I just wanted to like go over to my vocalist's house and just like play music, just jam out with my band, because we had a mission. We wanted to write an EP. We wanted to get signed. We wanted to live, you know, the rock and roll dream, you know, and we were all like super stoked on that. And that kind of led up into, you know, later on in high school when I was thinking about college and I wanted to figure out where I wanted to go to school. And that ultimately dictated whether or not I was going to go out of state or whether or not I was going to stay in state. My mom, off topic tip, really wanted me to go outside of state. She really wanted me to have that college experience. And she even was like, yo, please, like, just go. I'll like get you a car. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, nah, because I felt commitment. I was like, yo, my band needs me. I can't leave them because we made a promise. We made a pact, you know, and I was going to see that out till the end, even if it meant sacrificing, you know, my own personal experiences that I could have had out in whatever college I decided to choose. So that kind of, you know, kept on trucking, even after college, even with jobs. I really kind of made it a staple to make time for band practice, to make time to record, to kind of like, you know, hang back when my friends were going out to, you know, the bars or like clubs and stuff like that. That it was always consistent. So
your commitment level is pretty strong.
Yeah.
As far as music, for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, that I was kind of like a little bit on the opposite side of that. But I can also say that, you know, it does test you. It really tests you. And it really like forces you to, you know, find the unpleasant things pleasant and making that work in your own way, you know. And I guess an example is I don't know how to use Logic Pro. It's an interface that you're able to record music on. And I was always just a guitar guy. And the thought of learning this crazy software was just so overwhelming to me. But for some reason, I guess ironically, me kind of like having to go back to college and like finish my degree, I had to learn math. I ultimately had to, math wasn't always something I really wanted to do, but because I had to force myself to learn something I didn't want to learn, it wasn't because I didn't like math because of what it was. I didn't like math because I wasn't good at it. I wasn't able to learn it. But once I started to learn it, then I started to actually really enjoy it and really love going through the processes of trying to figure out why I got a wrong number. I'm going a little bit on a tangent, but I'm trying to make a point. The point being also is that learning that software, I took pleasure at it the same way I tried to take pleasure at learning math problems, because it's just when you understand that, it makes the whole process so much more easier. And that's kind of how I viewed it, something that need to be done. So if you're going to do it, like let's immerse ourselves in it.
And you can't really get to that point unless you don't give up. That's where I was really lacking with things, is like I got to a point and then I gave up and I got deterred really fast, and I just went to the next and went to the next. And it has its benefits, and it's like it has its pros and cons, because with you, I feel like you don't really get deterred as fast as I do. You're like, well, yeah, like we messed up, or let's keep going. And I'm like, no, like everything's falling apart. And you're like, no, we still have the rest of the day. And so I really like that too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I completely forgot that was like a theme with you sometimes, in terms of like something not panning out in the beginning of the day, and then kind of like very kind of like pessimistic in terms of the outcome and whether or not the day can be salvaged.
Yeah.
Which is interesting too. I never thought about that. But I can say too, I was actually there. I actually can say that, like, definitely in like high school, me, including my vocalists, were very, very, we cared a lot, right? So if when we recorded an EP, if it didn't make that as much buzz as we thought, I was like, God, that like, I don't even know what to do. I don't like, it was just so like downward spiral. But then unfortunately for us, there were other members in the band who were like, yo, chill out, guys. Like, take a deep breath. We got this, and we're like, all right. I trust you. And we, like I was saying, we bought in to that mentality, and I guess it stuck. And I guess it has its pros and cons, but
yeah. Because I guess pushing forward with things that you don't like. I guess another example too would be jobs. Before I came here, I think I had maybe 16, 17 jobs under my belt, just because I didn't, and a lot of people give me shit for it. They're just kind of like, you only stay a few months, or you only stay a year and then you leave. I'm just kind of like, well, which is kind of the opposite of you. When I was in Minnesota, I really thought that I had to find a job and stick there for the rest of my life and retire there. So I was like, okay, if I don't like it, I'm leaving. But then I kind of got to a point where, like you always say, your job is to fund your dreams. Yeah. And so despite like whatever job you have, if you're comfortable, and if it's easy enough, and it's not like too taxing on your mind, then keep it. It's a keeper. It's a winner. Because then you can use that extra strength and power at the end of the day to push forward on your dreams and the things that you really want to do. And so looking at it from that mentality too, I think it was nice having this giant stack of jobs to say, okay, I don't want to be a designer in the salon industry, or maybe even the apparel industry, or the city industry, or the educational industry, and just kind of like keep building on these things that I do and don't like, and kind of merge them into what I'm doing now. Yeah. But yeah, it has its pros and cons of not necessarily being as committed to one thing at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, just in case you guys are tuning in, this podcast, we're talking about commitment and how it relates to adoptees, and if there's kind of a correlation. And I guess prior we were talking that, there is some kind of, I think, correlation between that, because of, speaking with other adoptees and kind of getting a little bit more of other stories to kind of contrast to your own story, to my story, and see about that. But yeah, like you were saying too earlier, it is hard. It is hard. Definitely one thing that I had to really reevaluate thinking was when my band kind of dissolved, and that was really a testing me, I guess. I don't know, maybe not testament isn't the right word, but testing me in terms of my dreams and my passions, because since the moment I started to love music, I was always in a band. I was always part of a unit. I was always part of a team. It was never me. And I loved that because I was able to rely on other people when I was feeling down, and they were able to rely on me when they were feeling pessimistic about anything, whether it be a show didn't go well, whether it be a song wasn't perceived as well as we might have wanted it to be. But ultimately, when my band dissolved for kind of like the final time, everyone kind of just thought that, for whatever reason, they just wanted to move on with their lives. I had to make a choice, and my choice was either I abandon ship, either I'm just like, let me just salvage what I can salvage and just move on to something else that I might love. Like, I don't know. It's weird to think, right? Because it's like, you have your hobbies, but like, what can you say, like what, I like snowboarding. I don't know. I like fishing. What am I going to make it? How to, I don't even know the first thing to do about professional fishing or recreational sports of that matter. But yeah, no, I definitely had to, it definitely tested me, and I had to pivot and decide on my own if I really wanted to continue that. But I guess that would be the other side of commitment, like how far are you willing to keep that commitment going, and for what reason would it deter you? And either way is perfectly okay. I guess it really depends on how you feel. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I guess I can say like an example would be like, a football player who's mid-30s, who's kind of about to retire, but his mind's still in it. And if his mind's still in it, then that might be a good precursor to keep going. Maybe this year I'm good. I can do it. But if your mind's not in it, it ends up not being a good year, and you end up kind of just getting phased out. Mm-hmm. So,
but I guess like at the end of the day too, because that person pivoted to like whether they stay in football or for you, whether you stayed into music or not. But I guess you did. So you stayed into music, but you just pivoted and went somewhere else. Yeah. And so that commitment to stay with music, although the line might have not been straight, it might have gone like all over the place, but you're still in that line and you're still going forward with it. And I think that says a lot about you. But I was just also curious if you thought, and I feel like I kind of know the answer to this, but if you think it has anything to do with adoption and why you're so committed to something or like trying to make something work.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, it has. I guess from the youngest age, one of the catalysts of me pursuing the music and keeping it on for so long is that commitment of self-worth, I think, for me. Trying to show that I have a gift and I can hone in my talents, and I don't necessarily want to go the traditional school route, and that I could do it on my own. And, win or fail, I'm going to see it through till the end. And I think I promised myself that from a young age. And I reinstill that promise every 3 or 4 years, depending on if I was going through hard times, musically wise or mentality wise, and I was getting tested, like, am I going to give up now? Is this the end? We lost 2 members of the band. Like, I'm tired of searching, but the show must go on. We have to, you made a promise. You have to stick through that promise. You have to see it through till the end. And for good or for worse, I don't know. We'll see, the journey's not over yet. There's still a lot of work to be done. So we'll see. But I guess too, from the accomplishments that I have made, where pivoting in terms of changing a whole style of music, I was so far pretty successful. Yeah. I learned a lot about Logic Pro. Huge, painful first year. I mean, painful. It was tough. I questioned myself every day, just kind of like, damn, is this worth it? Damn, this is so annoying. Damn, why isn't this sounding, excuse me for profanity, but like, why isn't this sounding like I'm hearing like the professionals? Like, it seems so easy, but it's not, and I just don't get it. Like, what, and just like searching, researching, reading, just experimenting, and just to see, now I know so much. I know sidechain compression. I know the different compressors. I know delay. I know reverb. I know how to vocal automate stuff. But it's just interesting up until this moment. I have this EP. It's great. I have 5 songs, and one of the songs actually, like, a small record label loved it. So like, that was a huge accomplishment for me. So
they didn't just love it. they signed you.
Yeah.
Let's not forget
Yeah.
that. Let's not forget that. Like, I didn't know if you're going to say that or not, but I think that it's really important because, like you said, you know, you started this dream kind of started in like a dark closet. You were just kind of sitting there, you were listening to Creed, you were having your emotional moment, and it just kind of led you to here. And I think that you especially, you know, you get to these really great moments in your life and you're like, yeah, I mean, even when they contacted you, you're like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, I'm not really sure. We'll kind of just, you know, wait until anything happens. I don't know if anything's going to happen.
Wait until the paperwork comes in and stuff.
Yeah, and then the paperwork came in and you were still kind of like, yeah, like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I'm just like, what do you mean this is pretty cool? This is amazing. This is what you wanted. This is what you've worked so hard for. And it's funny because while you were like pushing these songs out to different record labels and sampling them and just letting people listen to them a little bit, you know, sometimes you got deterred like, and I'm just like, well, how many people have you really reached out to? Because in my head, I'm like, get 100 people, get 300 labels, you know, because like you're just starting. I mean, you're 2 years into this genre of music and you got a company to recognize you and to sign you
from across the country. That's pretty wild. Sorry, across the country. Excuse me, across the world, like in Switzerland. So
right, and I think that's important to talk about too, and to celebrate those moments. And I know some people are like, nah, let's like not celebrate all these small victories, but I think it's a testament to when this started. This isn't just something you picked up 2 years ago and you're just like, yeah, I mean, it's all right. No, like this is this long journey, like sweat, tears, blood, like everything that goes into it. And I think that it's always good to celebrate those victories, how big or small you think they are. You got it. It's a win. Like, here we go. But you're still very modest, which I appreciate though too.
Yeah, you know.
I feel like, do you even really like realize how cool it is sometimes?
I don't sometimes, and maybe that's for good or for worse. Maybe one day it'll hit me, but I guess, you know, there's a lot of work to be done. But I'm excited. And I also think like the moral of it is, you know, to keep the commitment, you know, to keep that passion, that dream alive, because, you know, things will test you. And I think that if you feel strongly or passionate about something, that, you know, you stick with it, even if it's hard, even if, you know, some days you really, really, really don't want to do this anymore. It's too much. You just can't. I'm overwhelmed. Nothing is like working the way, or nothing is turning out the way I thought it would. You know, just take a deep breath and just be at peace for that, maybe that day, that moment, just like set it aside and just do the next thing that comes to mind, that's your guilty pleasure. Just enjoy that, because I guess for me, when I got deterred, that's what I would do. I would just enjoy my guilty pleasure. I would just put on a movie on sci-fi or watch a movie online and just chill out, or watch some YouTube. And then all of a sudden it would just kind of click, where I'm just like you just get into it. You're just like, damn, you know, I was like, pretty good. Why did I ever stop? You know, like, and that might have not been later on that night. That might have been like 2 days, 3 days later. You know, you might be listening to the song that first initially gave you inspiration like 3 months ago. And you're just you're just listening to that same song that you wrote, being like, whoa, that's actually not bad. Like, that's actually like really good. So, you know, I guess my advice too is just to take a breath, take a break, and just, you know, come back to it, and not have any pressure to come back to it. Let it come back on its own, and take as much time as you need to let the fire kind of, let the coals kind of ignite again into a fire. And I think that'll work 9 times out of 10. I honestly truly believe that.
Especially, it's kind of like one of those situations, like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, you know, like, it'll find its way back to you, whether you're trying to avoid it or not, you know. Like, for you, we'll be listening or watching a movie and you're like, oh, do you hear that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And you're like, you don't hear that sound in the background, that music? And you're like, isn't that beautiful? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool. But like, to you, it means so much more because you know how to create it. You know the back ends of these things that are really intricate, and they're so detailed, and they mean so much to you. Where somebody like me, I'm over here, I've never really, like, I watch you work on like Logic Pro and all of this stuff, and I'm like, I can't even, like, it's so overwhelming, the different pieces and moving parts to it. And so I think for you, you really understand, appreciate it, and enjoy it for what it is. And I think that's kind of like you're saying, you just need to sometimes take a step back and just say, like, damn, you know, just relax.
Yeah, not no pressure. Life's good, you know. I'm healthy,
Yeah.
it's all right. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. I guess the thing for me was, now that I'm kind of thinking even more deeper into it, is just the aspect of failing, of knowing that, like with lacrosse, knowing that I was getting phased out and not really wanting to accept being second string, or even getting pushed out back the next year to third string, and just kind of being like that sideline chick. I was like, I don't want to really get to that point where I'm phased out or fail, so I'm just going to leave. But I don't know, that I guess that didn't really go anywhere else. Like, as far as, I don't know. I'm trying to like think of like relationships that I've had, like serious relationships that I've had. I feel like I stuck with it when I shouldn't have, kind of like the opposite, where maybe it did, like I got phased out or the relationship got phased out, and I'm just like trying to stick with it.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Getting phased out of a relationship.
But it's weird because you're talking about commitment, and like there's different that goes into like jobs or sports or hobbies or relationships, and like does that overarching theme of like just having a hard time being committed, does it have to do with adoption and like failing and maybe letting your birth family down? Because I remember I really wasn't that great at hockey, but I liked hitting people. I like kind of getting that aggression out. I remember being in my garage, and I had chalk, and I had made this tiny little course for myself in this little garage, and I had always made like acronyms, like like just weird sayings, like you're only as good as you, I don't even know, like these like cheesy quotes, right? But I wouldn't write them out because I was too embarrassed to like let anybody know what was going in my head. So I would just use the first letter, and it would just be this jumbled like blah, blah, blah. And that would be like, I'd write it and I'd get like obsessed with it, and I'd just be like skating in circles because I didn't want to get to a point where I had to give up. But I had given up on so many things that I don't know if that correlates. I don't know if I was too afraid. It's one of those things, are you too afraid to succeed, and you might just be too afraid to fail too, if that makes any sense.
No, it's like a crazy, like vicious, like halfway point, half-life of some, yeah. It's like, it's like that experiment that in that show that we were watching, where it's like, the cat like took a poison behind a box, and that he's dead, but for some reason, like in that moment, he's alive and dead at the same time. And if you don't open that door, he'll stay like that until you open that door, and then you'll see, whether he's alive or dead. He's both. So yeah, I definitely can relate to that. I definitely think that, maybe me being adopted is a catalyst, a good thing for me sticking to, my music and my love. Like, I don't know. I guess I didn't find music. Music found me.
Samuel Hersher, quote of the day.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess when it comes down to it, I don't really know why. Sometimes I keep going. I just do. I just love it. I hate it and I love it at the same time. It's just this like thing I have to solve.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle.
But it's good that you found that, because I think, some people just get caught up in like working that 9 to 5 or staying at that like McDonald's or whatever kind of job, which is, I'm not saying that's bad, but like when you stay there because you're comfortable and you don't really know, you haven't really tried or experimented anything else, and you're afraid to leave because you don't know all these unknowns. And I guess it is scary. Like, it sucks looking for a job, or it sucks starting something else new and over. And it's kind of like just having to put yourself out there and being scared to get
it's also
rejected.
Crazy scary too to just live in a job that's like you're okay with for like until you retire. Like, my goodness, like how many years is that? Like 50 years? Wow. At the same
But
place.
you've been accepted somewhere. And I guess that's kind of the scary thing, where you don't want to necessarily leave because you don't want to go through the whole trials and tribulations of like meeting new people,
new wolf pack, new pack, and all these new, relationship kind of dynamics of how people work, and,
and trying to like navigate that kind of too, I guess, like as far as like when we were talking about going to interviews and things like that, you have to dress up, like you're dressing to impress. And then for me, I always get in like maybe 2 or 3 months, and I'm like, well, like, do we really have to dress up, and just and they're like, I mean, if you don't want to. And I'm like, jeans. I was gonna say sweatpants, but like, no, I don't wear sweatpants, but like jeans and like just like comfy pants all day long, because I guess that's kind of you know, it's kind of like easing in slowly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I guess my advice to you guys is to just, you know, keep going through with that passion, desire that, you know, you always wanted to do. Could be anything, you know.
And I guess don't let somebody tell you it's not, like if you're at a job and you just genuinely don't like it, I mean, yeah, stick with it for a bit to make sure you don't like it, but don't let somebody be like, well, you should just stick around 6 months or you should stick around a year. Like, don't do that.
And also reverse too. Somebody's like, yo, like this place is whack. Like I'm out of here. Like it might be whack for them, but it might work perfectly for you too. So I think that also is something to keep in mind, you know, as well. Cause I've been like that too. I've definitely had employees like, yo, like I don't want to be here anymore. Like this place is like trash. Like, but you've been here how many years longer than I have, and it's working just fine for me. So I'm not gonna uproot and go 80 degrees out of a whim of your opinion of the workplace too. So it's also something to keep into account too. But yeah, I would love to hear any of your guys' stories of you know, any kind of passions that you guys have, and if you know you were in rocky times, I'd definitely love to hear about that and get some perspective on that.
Any kind of commitment issues you've had in the past, whether it was like relationship or
yeah,
whether
I
it
want
was
to hear
jobs
about
or
that.
anything.
That sounds pretty interesting. Feel free to comment down below, or you know, contact us on our social medias. Sorry, and yeah, hope you guys have a great night or a great morning, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.